Hello folks, welcome back to another 1 vs 1 in Planetary Annihilation. Today I'm joined in co-commentation by The Killer.
Hello.
And it's going to be between Pureriffs and ColaColin this time. There is also Neptunio spectating, but they are not commentating with us.
Oh, he is listening in on us, so he said that he might have inappropriate comments for us, so we'll never know.
Watch out for those, there might be a test.
Best. Just waiting for him to select the spawn zone, which... Under.
There we go. Deleting our commanders now.
Got a nice picture of the double explosions.
Oh yeah! It's a lot of clouds in one space. I can't even make anything out with that. Okay, so I zoomed out a little bit too far there. Right, looking around for the spawn points. Purus has spawned reasonably close to that sort of lake there. Got a bit of metal around their spawn. And
yeah, if you look at Colin's base, he is on the South Pole. He has tons of mass. Metal. A lot of metal.
He's also protected on the side of Pureriffs by that massive crevasse there, so if he can expand into that metal he can really sort of build up and defend relatively well.
How he's going to do it. Both players are relatively close to each other.
So I'm not sure whether Pureriffs is going to use the amphibiousness to get around that crevasse there, or they could move up and around both of them way up north, but that does take a lot of more distance and time to get between their bases.
Yeah, but right in the middle of the two bases there is this huge metal spot, so... But Colin needs it less than Pureriffs needs it.
Yeah, I can only see Pureriffs trying to expand to there, because I'm looking around their base, and the only other possible expansion site is directly north of their spawn.
Oh, yeah.
Just past those few mountains, but it doesn't yield anywhere near as much as that metal site over there.
So both players are probably going to go for that quite fast.
Yeah, we'll probably see most of the fighting on that front. Looking at both players' bases now, they're both getting out a bunch of fabricators from vehicle factories.
Yeah, this is all pretty standard. Nothing suddenly wild or anything.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing skitters coming out relatively soon because of the necessity of scouting and knowing when your opponent's spawn is early in the game.
Also, your economy can't support all your first few units building immediately.
Yeah.
Can't be done that way. Your energy stall.
Which is why it's always good to get your commander building the energy rather than the metal, given their faster build speed.
Yep, and also the metal usually being spread out more. Look at that second factory going up for ColaColin, and it's another tank factory.
Yep.
And exactly the same is happening at Pureriffs side.
Indeed it is. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a third factory follow that almost instantaneously, almost in a queue there. Wonder whether this commander's going to come over and assist in Colin's base now.
Yes, and he's probably using this time to get his metal and energy stocks filled up again, because he has 5 power plants and 4 engineers running, and that can't need 2 power plants for a single engineer usually. You can see Pureriffs has more power plants.
Indeed. But Colin also has the skitter that's going out now, almost in the wrong direction there, but he has got that initial skitter out, which is going to give him the advantage there.
Pureriffs is also moving his skitter towards the metal expansion like we expected.
Yeah.
He's looked around, that's the expansion he wants to go for. He even could expect Colin's base there.
And in fact he's also got a skitter in Colin's base. He's gone around the amphibious ray of the crevasse. And Colin also has 3 vehicle factories and an air factory now. Probably going to get first with a firefly and then maybe some hummingbirds or even some bumblebees. And also a bot factory going up.
Interesting.
A lot of variety there from Colin. But we do have 3 vehicle ones now from Pureriffs. 2 factories behind, but more focus might yield better results, you never know.
It's really hard to say how useful the number of factories at the 5-minute mark is, because they didn't really have that much time to build the tanks yet.
Mm.
Of course,
But
eventually later in matches it snowballs with the number of factories you have, but I really wonder whether those early extra factories are that much of a difference compared to like where you send your tanks actually.
it also depends on whether your opponent is spawned close or far away, and whether they're commander rushing you or ant rushing you or whatever rushing you.
Yeah.
But we also see Pureriffs expanding to metal sites furthest away from Colin now.
Yep. And
Playing it
Colin went
safe.
for the bomber, as you can see. Taking out early production power.
Yep.
And he now found the expansion and is going for that, since it takes longer for Pureriffs to get more engineers there, because it's farther away. So it's a smart move by Cola to attack the expansion instead of the main base.
And he just manages to take out those fabricators just before that metal site is actually completed, so that's going to deny him of any economic advantage there.
He's also moving in some other early tanks just to keep Pureriffs busy whilst he's continuing with his Tech 1 factory spam.
Oh yeah.
So I think he's going for the traditional build of building simply more factories all the time and continuously harassing until you reach the tipping point and beat the opponent by pure numbers.
Yeah. And as long as you can outproduce them, you can get faster follow-up assaults.
Yep.
But it does appear as though they are going to be using the amphibious route, so that drastically reduces the amount of space between their bases. It's almost as if the bases are going to expand almost to being on top of each other, and maybe seeing some pelters going across the crevasse to do some damage there.
Yeah.
And already a tier 2 vehicle factory in Colin's base.
Ah, so he is going for the tech. Wondering if he might proceed with this Tech 1 land spam.
Well, he has got a lot of T1 factories already, so maybe it's time to just add a backbone to that ant spam.
Yep.
Provide the beefy shells, as it were.
Does seem like the way Colin's base is set up, although it's very protected, I think he can also get some pathfinding issues, because if you look at it right now, the unit's already struggling a bit to move around in it, so this could reduce his response time to attacks. You compare it to Pureriffs' base, which is way more open in space. If you look at the factories, he leaves paths between them for tanks to go through, and if you Colin's base, it's way more stacked together. Especially in early alpha, which this still is, you can have some severe pathfinding issues.
Aside from pathfinding, they've gone all the way through the water in terms of Colin's ants, and are now taking out that expansion to the rear. So we're going to deny that completely.
Yeah, but you have to watch Colin's base now, because a small tank force of Pureriffs is nearing his advanced factory, which Colin stopped building now. Probably focusing more on defense.
Well, he has got three fabricators focusing down on that turret there.
Yep.
And the ants decide they're not going to go for it that time. We're going to back off and maybe defend against an assault that Colin could possibly be making through the water at this point.
Colin resumed work on his Tech 2 factory, and he's just still has those tanks at the back there, so Pureriffs should spend more tanks there to be able to expand there.
He's going in now, he's going to take out that laser, he's going to do a little bit of damage there. There are only 2 ants, 2 spinners to defend it at the moment, and make that 4 ants. But it looks as though Pureriffs is going to get past that and do a little bit of econ damage.
Yeah, but will it be enough compared to what Colin did to him?
I don't think so, although we do have a lot of ants coming up just on the shore right now, and are shooting across the crevasse as well. So Colin being kept on his toes here a little bit.
Yes.
From all
Colin
sorts of angles.
does have the advantage that he can place PDs. You don't have a lot of maps in which you can use PDs. Most of them are open and spaced. Really, only this ice mountainous one is good enough to have for the point defense to be actually successful.
What we also see are a bunch of Pureriffs tanks getting stuck inside the crevasse, so those are now going to be obsolete units, but they do provide the intel still because of line of sight.
Yep.
As Alpha seems to think that someone can see up and over a crevasse. And Colin moving in his commander now, this is a bit of a risky move.
It is, but it still has a lot of health. As you can see, he goes to 55% health and then he retreats.
Looking at Pureriff space now, they're continuing to get up with the tier 1 factories. I think Pureriffs is negating tier 2 and just really stocking up on tier 1 and exploiting the fact that he has a lot more ants at this time than Colin, although Colin is beginning to catch up now by the look of it.
Yep.
And the commander is moving in again. Maybe it might be wise to get some fabricators there to assist and heal as he goes in.
Commander is just a beast whilst attacking. Very powerful, very tanky unit. But yeah, as always, if you lose it, you lose the match. But he has enough ants to back it up.
And Pureriffs is moving his in now with a bunch of ants as well.
Oh, this could be interesting if he will be able to cut it off.
Colin really wants to get out of there fast.
Yep, and he's doing that, it seems. In the meantime, he's sending another small harassing force towards the expansion, but main point of interest is this commander battle.
Yeah. And it appears as though Colin is just about going to get away, but I think Purist might decide, no, I'm going to pursue this. I've got a little bit of the advantage that I need, and I'm going to continue to pursue, because that is a lot of ants sweeping in now through the water.
But Colin does have a lot of factories, but like I stated earlier, you can see now the pathfinding is really wrecking his response time, doing a nice little Pac-Man action in his base.
Yeah.
And you can see the melee fight going on now in the water.
It's quite a brawl here.
It is.
But not much is actually landing in terms of hitting. I mean, Colin is losing a bit of health on his commander, but other than that, I think the advantage there goes to Pureriffs. But again, it is Colin's home turf, so Pureriffs is going to want to retreat. You can see there.
I do like how that first attack group of Pureriffs is still alive, sitting there chilling at the back of Colin's base, hoping to snag a few engineers, or just being forgotten could also be the case.
I'll have a quick look at that now while the commanders are just chasing each other down. Aha! I see them there, yeah.
Look at that, Colin finally managed to get his Tech 2 factory up and is rushing to get more Tech 2, so it seems like he's going to dedicate to that now.
He's getting Tech 2 bots as well.
Yeah. Whilst Purist stopped working on his Tech 2 factory. I think he's just being outproduced by Colin by this point.
He certainly is, but given the difference in commander health at the moment, I think Purist might wish to try and press that advantage regardless.
It's difficult. Tanks have no range really in the water, so you'll have to drive all the way up to the commander with his tank.
Which is where maybe getting some point defense along that very tip of that crevasse there might prove useful.
To try to snag the reinforcements coming towards the tank block.
Yes.
If I were him, I'd focus way more engineer power to actually grab the 50 metal spots that he has basically map control over.
Well, he does have 5 engineers up there, Purist does, but they aren't doing anything.
Yeah,
other than that, we're just about to...
Probably focusing on this battle here.
Yeah. It's another fisticuffs. It looks as though Colin is in a little bit of bother here. He does have a little bit of a disadvantage because of the way the gradient is inside the water. I think if you're on a higher ground in water, you have a little bit of an advantage, but it's impossible to say because it's alpha and alpha is alpha. But it looks as though Purist's commander is now sort of stuck out in the middle of a blob of tanks now.
Yep.
Colin is going to retreat away. I think we might see the conclusion of the battle here and now, actually.
Yeah, it could become a draw. Placing a tactical factory so Pureriffs can't pass. Very smart. And
It's going to be very
over.
close.
Oh, no, he's still alive now.
He's going to try and run. And no, there he goes.
There we go.
There was
Okay.
one little hit from an ant right there.
No, that's quite random. Battles in the water. It's just hard to determine what happens. But if Colin would have gotten away here, and even if Pureriffs didn't die here, Pureriff would have died to the Tech 2 spam that was sure to follow from Colin.
Yeah.
Colin switched to Tech 2, and yeah, you can also already see if you press the replay that the few levelers were already at Pureriff's base.
Yeah, I see them there by the metal sites.
Yep. So conclusion, Colin I think he did have the better starting position. But starting position isn't everything, so his decent play, aggressiveness, taking out the expansion, sending tanks around the back really helped him out.
Well, I think it's a little bit of a give and take in terms of the starting position, because yes, you had the crevasses, yes, it was in effect a fort geographically, but as you mentioned during the game, there are a bunch of pathfinding issues that arise from that, and when it comes to faster-paced games where you want to get your reinforcements to where they need to be as soon as possible, it really messes that up in terms of actually getting your units to where they need to be.
Yeah. I were Pureriffs. There's two things I would have done differently. Number one, I would have tried to get that large blob of metal faster. And number two, I would have tried to build a few pelters at your side of the crevasse out of tank range, and snip away at the reinforcements Colin would send towards that tank blob. But it's easy to say that as a commentator because he was probably really focusing on that micro going on there all the time.
Plus, given the amount of production he had, I'm not sure whether the economy could stand it. As you say, he didn't have all of the metal up there, so maybe without that he couldn't actually have the production value to create those pelters in any reasonable speed.
Yeah, good point. I think we're going to call it here. The Killer from Realm.
And Marshall from Mega Marshall XP, also in the realm as well. So, thanks again for watching, folks. Return next time for a lot more Planetary Annihilation. As always, have a nice day.